Hey everyone, Mirage here, and welcome back to another episode of the Saloon Podcast. As usual, I'm here with my good friend here, or co-host Burner,
How y'all doing tonight?
and this time around we're going to be discussing an odd topic, and I mean odd in the sense that I don't typically discuss these kinds of games. This time around we're going to be diving into the topic of horror. And usually I don't cover horror because I don't have interest in horror under normal circumstances. But there are some scenarios like this where there are like really good horror games that I like, and this happens to be one of them. Um,
Spooky.
this this is a fan like what we're going to be talking about today is a fan game known as Treasure Island, which is a Five Nights at Freddy's fan game. Whoop de doo. Um,
Mhm.
and usually, again, I before for a while I didn't really like Five Nights at Freddy's, but then I was like, because because of the fan base and stuff. But then I slowly sort of got back into it thanks to some of my good friends that told me that the fan base is now better than ever and nobody's doing the messed up stuff that they've been doing before in the fan base from ages ago. Um, so I'm happy about that. And not only that, uh, this fan game Treasure Island. I'm not going to be talking about the original Treasure Island. I'm going to be talking about the 2020 remake because, for starters, I didn't get into try and actually start playing Treasure Island until the 2020 remake, and secondly, I just strongly prefer the 2020 remake, and it's the final version of the game. It's the official version, and yeah. Anyways, Treasure Island. There's a lot to cover here in my end because I don't know the entirety of all the lore, but because most of it's just kind of the rest of it's kind of left up to speculation. But I can give you a general idea as to what the story is about. Basically, you're on an island and you're an intern working for the SSA, or you're like an SSA intern, and you're there to essentially collect data on these things known as tunes. Now you're probably wondering, tunes? I thought they were animatronics. Well, again, normally they would be animatronics if you were playing FNAF, but this is FNAF. This is Treasure Island. Treasure Island's very different. So you're on the island, on Treasure Island, which is, by the way, also a real place located at Disney. So it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
because
you're in. Oh, sorry. Go on.
I was just gonna go a little bit on a little bit of a spiel. Of course, since Treasure Island is like it was a very popular spot for because it was left a lot up to ambiguity about just what the crud is going on at this freaky place, and it's just like I don't know. A lot of it is very, very cool in my opinion, because you know, since the place was abandoned and is still abandoned, like
To this day.
yeah, like you go actually look it up on Google Maps right now while you're listening to this episode, like yeah, he'll be able to say, yeah, Treasure Island, it's abandoned.
Well, yeah, but you won't be able to find it as Treasure Island. You'll have to type in either Disney Treasure Island or Discovery Island because that's what it's known as now.
Yeah.
But anyways, so right, where was it? Oh yeah. So you're an SSA intern or an intern working with SSA, whichever term you want to use. Um, and you're on the island investigating and doing research on how these tunes work, and you're essentially also doing research to see if there's anything suspicious happening on the island or anything that you should keep in mind. Uh, and as you progress through the game, you start to notice more and more strange things happening aside from the sentient tunes that are walking around and in the building that's on the island that you're in. More strange things happen. You'll have later on you have to go into this place known as the Pirate Caverns, and you go down in there and you just see this weird tune that's not like any of the others, which is known as the Face, and then another entity which isn't like any of the others. This one isn't even a tune. This one's just a sentient. No, this one is essentially just a reanimated corpse stuffed within a Mickey costume, known as Undying, and it's really cool. So you had go down there, and it's just you go down there and you walk into this room, but you have to get keys to it first. And then once you get into the room, well, actually, you have to go back upstairs, get the keys from another area in the Pirate Caverns. Then you go down to like the second floor in Pirate Caverns. You have to get the key in the first floor. Go down to the second floor with the keys, and then from there you uh keep going forward, and you have to make sure you stand still because Undying will kill you if you don't. So whenever he shows up, you have to make sure that you stand still. But you're heading over to this specific area in Pirate Caverns with this like incredibly elongated bridge, and then you find a door at the end of the bridge. This ominous door. You open it, and you find pages of nonsense or whatever, and you find like these messages written in what appears to be blood or marker or whatever. These weird sayings and stuff. It's really crazy to think about. And then you just see Undying in the room, and he's got his hands on his head, and he's just sort of just shaking and twitching and stuff, and the eye sockets are glowing. It's like, what's going on? So it's really, really creepy if you think about it. And then later on in the story, you run into this creature that is an amalgamation of all the toons that you've ran into, with the exception of Undying and the Face, because apparently the Face, from what I have gathered, or from what I've discovered, is not a part of this creature, this amalgamation known as Hourglass. It's not Undying is not a part of Hourglass, and nor is the Face. Neither of them are a part of Hourglass at all. But Hourglass is comprised of photonegative Mickey, or just Mickey, whatever you want to call him, Donald, disembodied, Acephalus, Goofy, and Impurity Minnie. They merged into this being known as Hourglass, and they are incredibly powerful.
It
Now,
all started when I was born.
And it's insane. It's just the way how Hourglass moves around. He's incredibly fast now. And in Night 6, you have to make sure that you outlast him so he doesn't kill you. And after you finish outlasting him, you head back into Pirate Caverns. But before you do that, during the time you're trying to outlast Hourglass, you receive this message. I think it's from Henry or something, and they go on about the fact that they found this discovery in Pirate Caverns about this vault, and that you need to input the code of 3497. That is the code to access the vault. And once you get to the vault, you realize that in the vault is a bunch of illustrations done by none other than Iwerks himself. Now, I would say Walt Disney, but the thing about that is that Walt Disney, a little bit of context here, but Walt Disney, he wasn't the one that drew all those illustrations, and he wasn't the one that finalized Mickey's design. It was actually Iwerks, and essentially Walt Disney ended up taking all the credit from Iwerks, and the two sort of just took their own separate ways and departed. And as a result, the two are no longer friends. They're also probably both dead now, but because of old age and stuff. Yeah, you see a bunch of illustrations done by Iwerks, right? You look in there, and it's just, what is this? And then you see this shadowy being that you've encountered in earlier night, and like cutscenes between the previous nights, this thing, what is it? It appears to be a shadow of Mickey, whatever it is. Turns out it's called Mother, I believe. I looked at the Treasure Island wiki. It's actually called Mother. I don't know if that's its canonical name or not, but apparently it's called that. But anyway, you run into this entity known as Mother, and it's staring you down in the face, and you're just like, what is going on? And you see a bunch of beings that look like Mother, except they're in inverted colors. Although Mother, for the most part, is just a black shadow with white rings for eyes. So the colors are essentially just inverted. Mother is essentially grayscale, but yeah. The colors are inverted. So instead of you seeing just a black shadow, you're seeing like a white silhouette with black eyes or whatever. It's really strange, but it's also really neat. And then you see the credits. And that's it. That's all the context you're given throughout the story. And you don't know what happens in the story either. You're just kind of, yeah, well, this is cool and all, but what does all of this mean? What, I don't get it. But then you think about it for a minute. You think about the fact that Disney's a huge corporation, and then you think about the fact that they could have a bunch of skeletons hiding behind the closet. And that it's all connected. It makes sense. This could be a thing that Disney could very well be hiding from you. So it makes it way more interesting than it actually is. Because of the fact that it's tied with such a huge corporation like that. It's a fan game based off of that corporation, as well as the property that they own. So you wonder, was this hidden from us this entire time? Did they not want us to see what was going on in this island? You think about that for a minute. If this is actually hidden in Treasure Island, imagine. But anyways, as a result, this made me wonder, and it gave me my own sort of headcanon as to what I think actually is going down in the episode. Or not episode, game, what am I saying? What's going on in the game. So my headcanon is that my headcanon is the fact that when you go down there and you see those old illustrations, I think that the cartoons that are walking around, or the toons, the sentient toons, became sentient because of the fact that they were enraged due to Bioware being gone for so long. And they didn't want to be abandoned by their creator, their master, whatever, or just creator. And so they started rampaging and just invading the entirety of Treasure Island, haunting it. So, it's a really creepy thought. They're taking control of the island and just killing anyone who opposes them or enters the vault. And there's a sequel to that that's been revealed recently, known as Obelisk Casa. And it states, Lisa, one of the people that work for the SSA, I think, states that they're angrier, and they're angrier than they were before. As from what I've read, Obelisk Casa takes place a year later after the events of the original Treasure Island game that was released last year in 2020. It takes place a year after the events of Treasure Island, the original game, the first one. Obelisk Casa, in that game, it goes on about the fact that you can't get everything out of your mind and that you're still traumatized. And you're called back to the island one last time because of all the things that have been going on in the island during the time you were gone. And it goes on about the fact that you need to fix your fractured mind. I don't know what any of that means specifically, but it does add a bit of context as to what's going on. You, as the protagonist, have been traumatized after your first arrival on the island, after witnessing all the things that you've gone through. And it's a very interesting thing to think about.
Mm.
And obviously, why wouldn't the main protagonist be traumatized from everything that's happened? Like, they obviously would be. It's, the creatures, the toons that you've experienced, or that you've fought, they're creepy.
Let
They're really creepy and disturbing if you actually, look at them in person.
and
I
actually,
mean,
because
oh, no, sorry, go on.
and it, this wouldn't be so bad, but they were also kind of trying to kill you. So there is also that.
Yeah, that too. Oh, here we go. Here's the proper description for it. It's been 1 year since the events that took place on the Treasure Island. 1 year hasn't been enough. However, you still can't get what happened out of your head. Being reminded day after day the same questions and the same answers you fail to provide. The island calls your name one last time. Can you piece your fractured mind back together before it's too late? So it's a very, very, like, important thing to think about, because it's just insane.
Yeah, and
Just
it's like it is one of the weirdest things that you. It's it definitely gets your mind racing because was this all hallucinations? Was this real or was this honestly just a
were
false
these
experiment?
were these tunes created as a hallucination that you made up? Were they nothing more than a mere mirage? No pun intended.
Teehee.
But were they a fabrication created by your own mind? Were they physically real? Were they actual tunes roaming the island, causing it, killing trespassers?
It's
Or again, were they, like I said, an illusion? What are they? You don't know. All you know is that they're there. Well, actually, take that back. If you obviously get killed by them, there's no way in heck that they're illusions. They're
yeah,
obviously real, but what are they? It makes you wonder. Are they tunes? They must be, but they can't be suits. The only one that's a suit that I've mentioned,
is
or the only one that even
undying.
looks, yeah, Undying is the only one that's a suit. But you don't know if they're actually tunes. They could be anything. They could be weird entities that come from the depths of hell. You don't know where they came from. All you know is that they're just there and they're going to kill you. That's it. That's the extent of what you know.
And that's
But
eh, it's very much something that is it definitely leaves a lot to the imagination if I can say anything about that, but
and
not
like I said before, there are like tons of skeletons hidden behind Disney's closet. People have made tons of creepypastas that people have put together, or people have made tons of creepypastas that they just whipped up and put together that are actually pretty well made in some cases, because it actually sounds believable. They're a big corporation. They've done some pretty shady things, and on top of it, you know, it's like treasure, like the things that happen in Treasure Island in real life, and what happens in the Mowgli's Palace, or what was their name of the original creepypasta? I gotta remember. Um, Abandoned by God or Disney or something like that, creepypasta, it all lines up.
mm-hmm.
And the game Treasure Island also lines up with the story in Abandoned by Disney. It all makes sense. It connects really well. It's just like, and some people have even, made speculations as to whether or not maybe Disney is a secret Satanist cult. It's really creepy if you think about it.
Yeah,
I don't know if I want to go that far. I don't know if I want to make that much of a stretch here, but people have actually assumed that before. And that's what makes this game so interesting. But I think I carried on long enough regarding the story. Um, in terms of gameplay and everything else, aesthetically, the game is amazing. The renders, just like the way how the game looks, it's so well done. It's very polished. It feels like it feels like it's on par with something like FNAF 1 and 2. If not, actually, I go as far as to say it looks even prettier than FNAF 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But it's it looks really nice. It's really well made and everything. It's well done.
Yeah.
In terms of gameplay, it's your typical FNAF game. It's kind of like FNAF 1. I'd say it's a bit easier than FNAF 1, honestly, but I don't think I've played the original that much. Truth be told, I don't really play FNAF at all. I've never really played FNAF that much. And Treasure Island is my only exposure to FNAF, like in any way, shape, or form. Like I never actually started playing a FNAF game that much up until I saw the remake for Treasure Island and was really interested in it. And I just said, screw it, I want to play it. So you know, I just I never really beat or got that close to beating a treasure fan game like Treasure Island before. That's based on Finance Freddy's. It's just insane. But just everything regarding Treasure Island is remarkable. I cannot stress this enough. This game is insane. And it's also a part of what got me interested in horror and stuff. It's helped me make things look more disturbing in a way because of the things that it does.
And I
I
think that is amazing.
Same here. But regarding Treasure Island, I think that covers just about everything. For
Yeah.
those who for those who enjoyed this episode of the Saloon Podcast, please stay tuned for the next one. We'll see you next time.
Until then, fare thee well.